Hey, what's up, everyone? And welcome to the Deceptive Lab and welcome to the weekly live stream. This your boy Freeze. And today we got it's kind of a chill week this week. Space Safe is off of work. And so, yeah, real chill week. So, we'll talk about this week's event. It's a real simple 10K. And I actually made a war team change recently. And I think I was talking to one of my moderators, one of my good friends, Chris Harmon, about it earlier in the week, and he's like, "Man, I can't wait to see what you change." So I'm gonna show that today, and um, and I just been training a lot just for wars and stuff like that. So um, got a feature that I think is really helpful for just helping you just train for wars. So we'll talk about that, and we got to talk about last week's 5-star vote, man. Now, Spanister and Rotostorm won the 5-star vote last week. And I actually got a whole separate video talking about that, so I'm not going to get into it too much. But um, we'll probably do a little bit of gameplay with the 4-star, see what's going on. Um, but let me know in the chat, how do you feel about Spanister and Rotostorm winning the 5-star vote for next batch? Let me know in the chat. Um, Also, we're gonna have some news about the membership program that I got built. I got a lot of stuff that I just still in work. I'm planning on releasing that next week, so we'll see how that goes. But before we get into any of that, let's go and take a look at this week's newsletter. All right, so this week's event is going to be called Magnus Opus, and I am trying to figure out. Okay, there we go. And let's see. So it is season 18, week one. So a new saga is starting. And the weekend event, like I already mentioned, is going to be a 10K event. So nice and short. And, I mean, it's kind of typical after you get through last week's endurance event. I know a lot of people were talking about, already in the chat, they were talking about getting 5 stars and stuff from the shards last weekend. So let me know in the chat, how did your event go last weekend? I know a lot of people got the new Tarn and Alpha Trion. We've had a little commentary in the chat about that, which we'll kind of talk about that a little bit too. Um, but yeah, man, nice chill week. Some of the prizes you get a War for Cybertron skin cool, 2.5K of 4-star shards, 7.5K of 3-star shards, and 20K of premium shards. You have 500K Troop XP items, and then today, yeah, 200K of Spark and 20 million of Alloy and Energon. So nice, easy event. And typical prize charts. And then we're gonna look at some game updates. So, Cyberpass Season 18, and you can see the two skins. We were actually talking about that in the chat. Usually if you come into the stream a little bit earlier, usually about like anywhere from like 5 to 15 minutes, I go in there and I just chat with everybody, and we were talking about how they got the G2 Skydive and G2 Bone Crusher. Uh, Chris was saying how the G2s for the Constructicons are much more realistic because they actually look like the colors of actual construction vehicles, and that's how I feel them on that. But I've had that conversation before. How I do get a special place in my heart for those G2 Constructicons just because of how I was trying to build that G1 Devastator as a kid. But man, I always say it. My Autobot skins are dope, man. Like that G2 Skydive, man, that looks really nice. So I ain't mad at that at all. All right, as always, check out your content creators, your official ones, Engineer Horse, myself, Soldier, and Sunstreak Awaza. Make sure you're checking those guys out, as well as a lot of our unofficial content creators. We already got a couple of them in here in the chat. I see Mercenary Terror, one of my moderators, and he always gonna argue with me about it, but he got real good content out there. Just Elite. not doing as much Transformers content before, but if you on my Discord server, you'll see that he's making a lot of other cool stuff right now. Like I was actually watching him on Minecraft yesterday, so it's always entertaining to watch that. In addition to a lot of the stuff he has for like automotive stuff as well. So make sure you go in and you check those guys out as well, guys. All right, let's check out the community corner. Got some artwork in there. Hey, you got Megatron there. Yeah, some cool artwork. Speaking of which, and I'll probably talk about it again a little bit later on, but one thing I was looking at doing for our membership program, so one of the perks that you get is you get customized emojis and stuff. So I was thinking about doing an art contest for any of you guys out there that are artists or drawing anything, and if we can get good artwork up here, then I might be able to see if I can slide that into one of our emojis. So that'll be pretty dope. But more to follow on that, I'll put out in like an official notification and everything like that. But as far as the newsletter goes, that's the news for this week. So let's take a look at the chat. So as you can tell, I got something a little bit different going on this time. I actually got me a nice little layover going. I was in there working on that a little bit today. And even though you can't really read the chat in there, I can at least pay attention to see when everybody's saying something on the chat, like above my head. And I actually, my green screen's off a little bit. So let me move it. All right, cool. All right, so let's take a look and see who we got in the chat today. Uh, we started out. So I know Lord Avix was in here first. Let's see, and we got a lot of people in here today. Honestly, Mercenary Terror, one of my moderators, is in here. Benja Prime, one of my buddies from Playtest. Thank you guys for joining. Robert C4 is in the chat, as well as Joker. Chris Harmon, one of my other moderators and good friends, is in here. Dylan Ramos is in here. He says it's his first live stream. So here with the on Freezius Max channel. So thanks for joining, and I hope you enjoy yourself today. Let's see. And I actually started off my live stream chat. I was looking at it on the YouTube studio, and so it cut off like half of the people that were in there talking at first. So yeah, let's see. Just Elite, like I already mentioned, is joined the chat. Good friend of mine. Thanks for joining. Let's see. I saw that Carnage is in there. I was talking to him a little bit earlier. Thanks for joining. Vic Cheng is in the chat as well. Thanks for joining. Looks like Red's joined the stream or whatever. Probably because I actually advertised for myself this time. I got a bad habit of not actually advertising that I'm streaming on Discord, and a lot of my friends get on me for it all the time. They say, "Yo, you didn't say anything." So, good friend of mine, Rez, thanks for joining as well. And hopefully, I ain't missing anybody because I was going back and forth in between those two. But yeah, it's a pretty packed house today. I see Josh Worley is in there as well. Thanks for joining. But so what do you guys think about the 5-star vote that was it took place? So we got a new 5 star is gonna be coming to the game. So for us on the con side, that's gonna be Spinister. And for those of you on the Autobot side, that is going to be shoot, I just messed up the name just that quick. It's Spinister and what's the Autobot equivalent, guys? Help me out. Rotorstorm. Spinister and Rotorstorm. So this is what I was looking at. I was kind of just going through earlier today, just playing around on my computer. Um, and I was just looking at some of the stats and stuff. And this is what the 4-star looks like currently, with it being like maxed out and everything. Um, so you know what? So I'm one of those guys that I look at like normal damage and everything like that, in addition to health. So when I'm looking at the 4-star and I'm looking at the fact that it's already at level 70, now I haven't ranked them up on anything, but I was like, okay, those are okay stats. I think the selling point more so was going to be with the ability. And I'll be honest with you, when the bot first came out, I was actually going through some of my old clips or when I first did a con highlight for Spinister, and um, I said to myself, what was really polarizing between Spinister and Thrust, who Thrust I actually really enjoy, but a lot of people didn't like Thrust when he came out because Thrust has a tendency to just he has a tendency to get himself into trouble, especially in certain time trap bases, which is starting to make a comeback. Spinister, everybody liked more because he would hang back in the back. But I started to look at some changes to my war team, and it actually accelerated the way that I approached front loaded bases. And so I kind of wonder to myself if I use Spinister when he becomes a 5-star, is he going to become a liability because he sits too far back? And so that's one of the things that I want to actually look at today um, while he hovers there for those 20 seconds. But what I imagine is going to happen is that right now his ability gives you 30%. You deal 30% bonus damage up to a maximum of 370, and I kind of wonder if that the percentage up front, like if it's going to jump up some, if it'll jump up to like 40% or something initially, and then you can just gradually build it up a little bit more. I'm not sure yet because we haven't started testing Spinister, but I don't know, man. As I when we were working on votes for the batch before the last batch, and Spinister was pretty high up there in the votes, I didn't mind it as much. But then when he actually won, I was like, man, I don't know if I really want this by the fair. And it's not even about losing because I wanted Rodimus Unicronus. It's more so that am I going to use this bot in top level wars? And until I actually see it in playtest, I'm really not sure yet. So, what do you guys think? How do you feel about Spanister and Rotostorm as the next 5-star in Transformers Earth Wars? Let's take a look in the chat and see what's going on. Mercenary Terror says he has Spanister but not Thrust or Malice. Definitely going to try to get him when they can. Yeah, and that's a good point too because the abilities are really similar. Obviously, Thrust and Spanister are going to have their abilities are going to be launched while they're in the air. But yeah, it's definitely worth using those bots when you get them. Joshua Worley says I like using Rotostorm, Twin Twist, and Inferno on the squad. So yeah, for us on the con side, that'll be Spinister, Quellagon, and for Inferno, that'll be Rod U. And honestly, when Spinister and Rotostorm first came out, that was the way that a lot of people were using it, just because you want to use these kind of bots, especially with Twin Twist and Inferno. You want to use them, I feel like, in cleanup a little bit. And if you can catch some of those defenses and some of those buildings right on that tail end when Spanister has them targeted, then he's gonna pick up the damage and it's gonna gradually increase. Now I'll tell you this: what bothers me is can be the unpredictability of Spanister's targeting. Now, when Spanister first came out, his targeting was atrocious. He was shooting at the ground and all kind of stuff. But they fixed that, and then later on, it's like, okay, well, what am I gonna hit, and is it gonna increase my damage to the point where I actually feel comfortable? Like I want to know every single step of everything that's gonna happen when I'm on the battlefield, and I feel like it kind of lacks that a little bit. Chris Harmon wants my guesses for bots other than Spinister in the next batch. Um, that's actually a good question, man. Like, I'm kind of curious, and maybe it's just wishful thinking. I'm kind of wondering if Rodimus Unicronus and Inferno wind up making the batch anyway. I did think about that a little bit earlier. Um, just because I think they probably still gonna want to put another worry in there, but I mean, it's really tough to call. Let's take a look at bots that we got that still need 4 stars, and maybe we can start there because let's see, all of these guys are obviously 5 stars. But you know what? One vote that I kept seeing and one name that kept coming up was Broadside and Ape Face. So maybe they slide into the batch. And a lot of people, I'm honestly, I don't dislike broadside and ape face. I just don't have a tremendous amount of experience using them. I've seen players do good things with them. I think Sunstreak Awaza a few months back had a good video on them, and honestly, probably that could be one that actually goes into the batch. I'll tell you who I don't think is going to get into the batch though, and it's unfortunate, and that's Cutthroat Tracks, Cup, and Dead End. I just don't think they are going to do it yet. But if they do, if the Apes put that as an additional pick, I think that would make the batch very, very desirable. So, wishful thinking standpoint, I hope that one of those guys makes it in. If we being honest, Robert C4 asked when I'm playing and then dropped the video. So, if you guys didn't notice, so a couple of things have been changing with the channel. So, one of those is like my intro. I added anytime I'm gonna make like a new video, I'm gonna add it to the intro on a wait screen while the live stream is going. And so, if you notice, I already made the artwork for it. I actually already recorded the video to talk about Spinister and Rotostorm and how they actually won the vote. uh, the date that I put on there was for Friday. I got to pick a time. I'm thinking around Friday, around 4 or 5 Eastern. But what I'll do is it's going to be one of those premiere videos where I'll still be in the live chat so I can talk to you guys. Because anytime I make a video, I like to still have a live chat. And what I think is going to happen is I'll notify you guys a couple of hours out. So look forward to that on Friday. I'm trying to get into more long form content right now. So especially when I'm going to build a membership program. So I say I want to. That might be one of the perks is that like some of you guys will see that stuff early when you're members. Um, yeah, good point, Josh. I say you said broadside is too squishy. That is one of my concerns. A lot of people really love the bot. Now, the squishy part I can deal with. I can manage squishy. What I can't manage very well is I can't manage when a bot has multiple uses, but they don't interact with each other. So for me, the problem is when you're looking at broadside and eight face, you got those healing drones. If you want to heal, that's cool. If you want to attack, um, first off, the attack part of it, it's not as strong as I want it to be, but it's not targetable. So I get it, but I can only use one at a time, and that irritates me if I'm being honest. Like when I had like triple changes and stuff, usually you have some kind of way that their abilities interact with each other. All right, so I've already got this guy loaded up onto my war team. Let's go ahead and take a look at the maxed out 4-star Spinister in battle. And Red's got a good point too. Back in the day, we were both on playtest together, and one of the things that she advocated for was for Spinister to get a shield because, kind of like I was saying earlier, Spinister can become a little bit of a liability floating in the air like that. And it seems to be the case where a lot of players kind of ignore that piece just because when you're looking at bots like Cosmos and Mindwipe, everybody's like, oh man, that guy's just floating there. He's a liability. When you're looking at a bot like Thrust, they're like, oh man, that bot's just floating there. It's a liability. When you go look at a bot like Spinister and Rotostorm, everybody seems to ignore it. And I was just like, I found that strange, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna show you what it is I think will be the best use for this bot. And I think what's gonna happen is that you're gonna find a lot of players using AoE bots. So I got knockout here, and then you kind of use Spinister just to finish up a little bit. And so he'll just continue to increase in power. Now this base isn't very high level, but it's just an example of what you kind of expect with Spinister. I've already done videos on Spinister and stuff in the past, so you kind of know what you're getting. But from a statistical standpoint, it's just one of those things that is good to look at, and just try to you figure out the practical uses for the bot as well. So for me, my gunners, I like to use Fireline and Top Shot for those guys, um, just for the good range. And honestly, like when I try to go use them on a lot of different other bots and different classes, dude, he just Top Shot and Fireline make them get too close, so that annoys me a bit. So I try to save them for my gunners, but I'm not gonna be pissed off with the pick if I go get them out of the batch. I'm really not. It's just not. It's just not an exciting pick for me, like say a Rodimus Unicronus would have been, or say it's actually another bot. There's actually another bot that I would really like to see, and I'm gonna do a video on it too. But I don't want to give too much away. But I will tell you who the bot is. But take a couple of guesses. Take a couple of guesses. It's a 4 star that we don't have as a 5 star yet. And I'll give you another hint. He's in the warrior class. So who do you think I'm talking about? Let me know in the chat. A 4 star that this doesn't have a 5 star yet, and he's in the warrior class. All right, let's take another look in the chat. So Lord Avix says he would like to see a 5 star double dealer. And you know what? Honestly, man, going back to the point that going back to what Chris Harmon was saying about predictions, at some point, because acid is still so prevalent in the game, I could definitely see a bot like Double Dealer becoming a 5 star. I think that's really, really viable. Um, honestly, man, I didn't realize it at the time. Double Dealer is actually really, really good, man. Like back in the day when he first came out, and damn man, I can't. The Skywarp Greer had a stream, and he was actually showing me how to use Double Dealer. Dude, he was tearing stuff apart. I mean, and he was just power leveling them through like this event. It was like a Saturday night, I think it was, and he was just going crazy with Double Dealer. It was ridiculous, man. And ever since then, I was just like, man, that's a pretty good bot, man. So I wouldn't mind seeing that at all if it comes to that. I gotta level mines up on playtest again, but yeah, I mean when you looking at that asset meta, shoot, man, you figure they stick at least one more asset bot in there. I think it's only three currently that we have as 5 stars. Action will, along similar lines, wants a 5 star Skywarp. Even if it isn't meta stuff, you want a 5 star Skyward since you started. And but you know what though, when you talk about the meta, it goes right along. It kind of segues into exactly what I was saying. So the meta is acid. Now, what I'm having a hard time trying to identify is is the meta getting ready to make a shift? Because at some point it's going to shift to an electric meta. The space ape is not trying to hide it. It's gonna happen. Um, so do they continue to try to put acid bots in there for the acid meta, or do they start shifting over to the electric meta? That's the real question that I have. Rez is on me about my warrior class bots. Hey man, look, I I learned my warrior class bots inside and out, man. Like, cause when I was a noob and I was just kicking it around these event alliances and stuff like that, man, the warrior class bots was all I had. I started out with my little 4 star real early in my gaming career with TFEW. I had Headstrong, and I loved them. And then I started working towards Tantrum, and you guys heard the story before. It ain't my first time saying it, but yeah, I was just like, man, I really like these. I love my Russian tanks. I love. I had a little run where I was using Blot as my war team, and it was fun. But I just never enjoyed it the same as I like my Russian tanks. But man, the warrior class is actually slowly becoming a huge piece of the meta right now. So yeah, I'm going to talk about warriors a lot on this channel. Chris Harmon, along with the acid meta things, talking about Leozak full, and then it's a combining piece too. So that's always one piece that you always got to look at and see If it does become a point where we're doing 5-star combiners, and if it becomes to a point where we have to have all 5 pieces, you're gonna need that piece. It's gonna be inevitable. Tara asked, "Whatever happened to Skywarp Grill?" Honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, I saw that he had retired from making Transformers Earthworld content. I honestly think he was just getting burnt out, man. Let's see. We got one comment says Scrapper needs a 5-star. I think if they do a rework for, well, actually, Scrapper is actually not too bad, but I still think they would rework him a little tiny bit. Off road, I would really, really love, but no, the bot I actually want to see this a warrior class bot. And he started catching some steam later on. Actually, it's two because I wouldn't mind seeing Breakdown Prime, but I don't think the apes are going to do that yet. I think they're going to try to make an ice meta later on. But the one that I really, really want, where is he at? Man, I actually want to see C Clamp. I actually want to see C Clamp, and I want I'm gonna level mines up. I'm actually gonna do a video on them, and I'm gonna try to prove myself right or wrong. But I would like to see C Clamp is a 5-star because I think he's just gonna be honestly he's gonna be really, really good. And a lot of people were already making the comment that, well, he's not gonna be as good as Headstrong or Pipes. Dude, like what I like those little differences that we have in between some of these bots, even when they make them very similar, those little differences are I pay attention to those, and a lot of times those little differences they have between similar bots are really what can make or break whether a bot's suited for your playstyle or not. And so I talk a lot about that in the video that I'm releasing on Friday, just because I think that when you are trying to get a bot like Rodimus Unicronus, um, one of the things that turn people off is that, oh, we have Tarn now, we don't need that. Or you might have somebody that went into the endurance event um, for Scylla and Ariel, and now you're just like, all right, well, even though they do something similar but kind of different, you're just like, well, why do I need to go add in this additional bot that's going to do something very similar? So I do understand the logic behind it, and I'll explain my logic for it on Friday's video. That's another good one, LA, CicadaCon. And I never got into CicadaCon, but I know people, there's a lot of people that swear up and down by that bot, so that could be a good one as well. All right, so let's see. Let me go take a look at my notes. All right, so war team change. So it's a couple of things I've been doing. Like I've been working on my war game a lot lately. So it's two things I did. The first thing I did was I changed my war team. So let's go pull them up on the screen real quick. So here's the thing. So I got a bot up here that's missing now. So Bludgeon, I've been using for a couple of months now. He's legit. That's my rush in tank that I'm using right now. Just because I'm not willing to go back into a batch and go get Headstrong. I'm just not like it's probably gonna be the last bot that I get in the batch. I just ain't got time for it, man. I'd rather move forward than to go backwards for a meta that's probably gonna change. Man, get out of here, Res. Did we actually agree on the bot for once? Like we almost never agree on any bots, but she said I love C Clamp. Yeah, I like C Clamp a lot too, man. I really, really do. All right, so Bludgeon still he's a mainstay. I actually went back to Impactor. Now, if you guys have been watching my streams for a little bit, I've been playing around with Impactor a little bit. I went through this whole phase where I put the Onyx Prime Core on him. I put all these different things. But you know what? I just went back to the Amalgamous Prime Core on him, and I went back to Vertebrake on him. Um, just because a lot of situations that I put myself in, playstyle wise, uh, I need to not get hacked. And so a lot of people don't even think about that part. They think about the anti-stun part of vertebrae, but that anti-hack piece is really, really prevalent, especially in the game currently. Um, and honestly, man, Impactor has been one of my prime power levelers. So like even though I'm on a test account right now, on my main account, Impactor is up there at level 70. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna swap over to my main account so you can see exactly where I'm at with all of these bots. It'll make more sense because it'll make more sense than sitting up here on the on the test server. And the biggest thing for me is I was trying to figure out what I needed to do with each of my when you go into an endurance event, you're basically looking to see, well, what bots do I want to work with? And so for me, I worked on bludgeon for the first day, most of the first day, and then I I actually took this bot out, but Flame was in there for a special purpose right now. But the bot that I'm actually using, that I probably should have been using, is I started finding a way to use this dude. So the bot I started using is scavenger. Like right now, I had to take his power core off because I'm about to make a war attempt here after the stream where he's not going to exactly fit into that particular part of strategy. But what I did is I actually started using the Alchemist Prime core on him, and I just put a 3-star fracas on him, and he becomes really really hard to kill, which is kind of not believable because his health is so low. But when you use AOE and you use that Alchemist Prime Core, it actually becomes really easy to just just regenerate. So I actually move Alchemist off a knockout, which I actually really really hate, but for survivability's sake, I put it on Scavenger. And what I did is I just I just went completely crazy on these front loaded bases that have the with all the acid and fire that I have. So knockout, as you guys probably know, I always use the fire line on. And right now I've got Alchemist on him for the upcoming because I'm not going to go into a war attempt without Alchemist Prime. But normally that's going to be reserved for Scavenger if I have him in my lineup. And so Scavenger will actually be in the spot where Flame War is currently. And so you can actually take a look at some of my war attempts that I had up here against G1 Asylum. We can actually hit one of the replays if we can get the replays to be accurate. I'm actually getting my butt beat right now. I actually lost 2 times to the commander, and that's where I got the advice to go use. That's where I got the advice to use Flame War because I was having a hard time with the commander today. So what I started to see a lot of front loading, and in this case, it's not, it's honestly, it's not too bad. It's pretty balanced. But what I started using the Acid Storm, a combination of Acid Storm, Knockout, and Scavenger. So for you guys on the Autobot side, we're talking about Scavengers, Rust Dust, and then obviously Knockout as Skids. But just look at those huge chunks that I'm taking out by combining all of those. So here's my thing. I hate when you gotta force a combo. I really do. But if it's gonna clean up a whole section like that, and I'm not gonna keep getting pounded on by these front loaded bases, then I'm all for it. Now, Galvatronus is my go-to. He's my go-to for as far as combiners go, just because that 10 seconds of invulnerability is clutch. I've started to really expand a little bit with his I think it was his 3-star ability where he rushes forward with a dark cloud. Um, that one's actually been making me some money lately too. But you can see where I keep spamming Acid Storm because he doesn't cost that much. A slingshot for you guys on the Autobot side, and then Scavenger, and then a combination of Scavenger and Knockout will get you where you need to go. Tara says, "Hold it." The scavenger alchemist practice was his idea. Yeah, I mean, you said it. I want to say Tex said it for a little while, and it's just one of those things where I finally decided to listen, just because it wasn't a problem that I thought any of you guys was wrong. The problem for me was trying to make sure that I fitted into a good synergy with my war team. And the synergy piece is always the biggest piece. And so a lot of times if you guys are asking me for advice on stuff, I'll tell you, I was like, well, hey, what does the rest of your team look like? Because you could try to go move this power core to try to fit into some piece of the meta, and you could be screwing the rest of your team up. So I finally figured out a way, and I didn't want to move it. I didn't want to move it because I didn't want to move it off a knockout, to be honest. But I wound up just using his G1 core. Now a lot of people want to use Fracus for that. Now I was like, I'm not gonna put Fracus on two low damage bots. I'm just not. So what I wound up doing was getting all my other bots to heal. And if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know that I'm real big on individual healing. And so what I started doing is what that forces my healer and hook to kind of follow knockout around and keep him charged. So now every time he's getting healed at a faster rate. So Spencer394 has joined the chat. Thanks for joining. All right, but yeah, that's what I was looking at. And so the other thing I've been doing, and I got to actually go back to the test server for this, but the other thing I've been doing is I'm gonna flip back over to the test server real quick. The other thing I've been doing to work on my wars, and granted, they need to fix this in the regular game. So I was in the event this weekend, and honestly, I spent more time probably practicing war stuff than I did for than I did in actually playing the event, because I rushed through the event. I only did 25K bid for the event, and the rest of the time I spent practicing. So I was on the game all weekend, but I wasn't on the game all weekend. And one of the things I did, I switched over on my playtest account. I switched over to the Autobot side, and I just went in here and I started just fighting all these really really good players. I say, Avengers up there. I see you. I know you in the chat somewhere. You're safe. I won't fight you on stream this time. Last time you beat my butt though, so I'm not sure. Um, but what I started doing, I said I got all these great players up here because I think it's probably a little bit less Decepticon playtesters right now until they go fill them back in a little bit. And so one of the things I started doing is I started going into what I nicknamed it pull up mode, but it's when you can go fight your own alliance mates. And so what we need though is if you're in war on the live server, it doesn't work. So what I think is gonna happen is I think that's probably part of the patch that comes through for I think that's probably part of the patch that comes through for Alliance HQ. I might be wrong. Space Ape hasn't said anything yet, but hopefully that's the case because uh, if you got a lot of players in your alliance, especially when a lot of people use this similar bases, they use these meta bases. I think that I think that helps a lot because you can go in there, uh, find a layout that you typically struggle with, just within your alliance family or just within your alliance, and you can just keep fighting that same layout over and over and over again. And one of the complaints that I've had about this game for a while is that there's not a lot of ways for you to practice, especially when you're trying to go practice for like Prime League hard mode and stuff like that. So I actually like what I've nicknamed pull up mode. Especially, and another thing, man, like if you got teammates, like you got, like I got in the horde where we just talk junk to each other, you can just call them out. I'd be like, yo, man, your base is terrible. I'd be like, yo, man, pull up. I said we can run this right now. You ain't gotta stick with all the trash talking. You can just invite somebody to come in there to see if they really about that life. Man, I got kicked out of the test server for a second. All right. Well, while I'm waiting on that to come back up, I'll take a look in the chat. Red said Scavenger, Alchemist, and Crater was on the war team for about 2 or 3 years. Swapped out Scavenger for Knockout with the Max G1 core. Yeah, and I remember when that first happened because we were talking about it a lot, and it's like I get it. It was actually I think it was Tex that was trying to tell me to because his thing is using Inferno, Rodimus Unicronus, and so that's one thing that he was doing the whole time, and then just kind of and still using skids and knockout. But I just got tired of just waiting around and just getting hammered with these front loaded bases, so I just started using them. I started using them in my war team. And the thing is, for years, I mean, I think we had the conversation about it. I just don't like Scavenger that much. I'm starting to learn to like Scavenger. All right, so we got Texas Hammer here. Let's see what I can come up with. So yeah, just gonna run another example of how I've been using these guys together. And another thing I like to do, I like to go ahead and drop these AoE abilities when I know I'm about to use my combiner. So I'm still doing damage after my combiner is dropped. And yeah, so and because I got all that fire damage going, what I'm end up doing is just clearing that bottom section out. And I still will have to go deal with that leech core up there at the top at some point. Uh, but that's not right now. Robert C4 asks, is Alliance HQ tomorrow? I kind of doubt it, especially because Space Ape is on vacation this week. So I think it's supposed to be the following week. Uh, That's the only problem I might have in this particular case is that I'm gonna get up there a little bit too quickly, but now I can go run scavenger. And my alliance was asking me earlier about like how I continue to use Impactor, but one of the reasons that I use Impactor is because I got a lot of control over his ability and just how far he goes and walks up and stuff like that. So like when I was trying to avoid that leech, I just ended up using his ability to prevent leech from getting me beat up too bad. But I think I came on a little bit too straightforward, so I'll probably end up losing this battle. But that and I'm just not that great using this thing with the mouse. But I'm starting to get better because I played on the computer a lot this week. I played on the phone a lot this week too. But that's kind of the point is going in there. Let me try to find a front loaded base to try to go run that same combo. Yeah, and I think I agree with you, Spencer. I think that it'll be before the end of the month. It's like honestly, Alliance HQ was built. It's really just it's really just hitting the button and running with it. Overall, I think it's going to be a pretty decent feature. I just think that for a lot of the top players, it's not going to be exactly what they wanted, but they'll be fine. He actually changed up his base. I wanted a front loaded one though, so I can just kind of show those combos. But yeah, that's what I've been doing, man. I've been going back and forth into this pull up mode. So that's what I actually been wanting to focus on, so that I can find these guys that have certain base designs and I can just play them over and over and over with different combinations until I figure it out that hey, is this the way that I want to approach these types of bases? Especially when a lot of people using the same bases. And Joker says he loves watching my live war attacks. Hey, now I appreciate it. Benja says feel free to destroy my base. Yeah, I actually been watching everybody very closely on playtest to see when they do their revisions, and it's been a lot of good ones up there. I honestly I need to change mines. I'm much too lazy to go in there and change mines. Like I'll change it on the actual on the regular on the live server. I just don't always change my stuff on test. And I probably did that way too early, so I'm probably screwed myself. Oh, actually, no, I did it right on time. I thought I had popped the combiner a little too early. I like to actually lead in with Galvatronus's 4-star ability, just because I know he's gonna get that extra time of invulnerability. And when you use Galvatronus and you use the rest of the team the way that I've been using them, what you wind up doing is you wind up clearing out all of the walls. Your team comes back and they've got like 10 seconds of invulnerability, and then you just go back and do your thing. And so it helps me a lot because I started to get frustrated with a lot of these real clustered up bases. I'm just like, man, I can't do crap. And then I said, well, you know what? I got to do something that's going to work for me on a consistent basis. And since I got that acid fire meta bots to kind of help me out, I said I might as well add scavenger into the mix and clear out huge sections and really, really, really quickly, honestly. But yeah, man. All right. So before I get out of here, I want to talk about what I decided to do for my membership program. So, like for those of you that missed it, uh, I am now on the first tier monetized, and so what that means is because YouTube changed a lot of the requirements that I can now have members, and then I can make money off the members. Like I still won't get ads on my videos on my content yet, but I will have I can have members. So I'm gonna show you. All right. So yeah, I guess I didn't add the microphone. I didn't add because I started using this headset and I didn't add it to that section with the graphics. So I'm gonna do that now. Give me a second. All right. How about now, guys? Yeah. Let me know in the chat if you can actually hear it. On my end, it's showing that it's working, but yeah, that's all it really was. That I when I switch through different frames, uh, it won't let me It won't let me. I had to actually add the microphone to that one. All right. So what I was saying was for the basic. So there's gonna be three price points for it. Um, I wanted to do it around the $1, $3, and $5 membership range. So the basic one is 99 cents, and that's when you get your loyalty badges, custom emojis, and member shout outs. Pretty generic stuff. The elite membership is where you're going to get early access to new videos. So, like for example, I'm not going to do it this week. I'm actually planning on starting the membership packages next week. But like say like on Friday when I go make this when I go drop this video, what I want to start doing is do some of my long form content, and the elite members will get it. Uh, they'll get it a little bit early. I'm thinking maybe about a week or something like that, maybe a week or maybe two to see some of my exclusive long form content. I've actually been off of work for a couple of days, so I'm just in I'm just in the studio just building videos like pretty much all week. So I actually got the content built because I don't want to start offering memberships to people and then not have the content to back it up. So that's already so the first one's already in work, and then there'll be like members only status updates that I can have on the YouTube channel. Mercenary Terror says, "I'm broke. I'm a moderator. That's good enough for me." Yeah, and it's just one of those things. It's an additional thing for anybody that wants to join or whatever. But like I said, it is cool. Uh, I was actually filling out some of the paperwork today. Like for those of you that any of you guys that ever worked before, they actually had me fill out like a W-9 and everything. So I was like, shoot, man. I was like, that's cool. So that's like, I'm actually filling out paperwork like I'm signing up to go work a job. So it's pretty cool. All right. So the last one, like I said, it's going to be, I believe I said it at 4.99 is a diamond membership. And so that's where I'm going to start asking more questions. This is going to be membership only polls. I actually started setting up a chat room on my Discord server for members only. So I set up a voice chat. So just in case, so I figure about like once, maybe every saga, so that I'll come in and just whether we want to go on a voice chat and chit chat on Discord, or there'll be a text chat just for members only as well. So if you want to ask like really specific questions, if you want to get like individual like training or anything like that, like one-on-one feedback on war teams and stuff like that outside of the stream, then that'll be your opportunity to do that. And one thing that also came into play is that so apparently YouTube doesn't like us doing giveaways. So when I first put that into my package, they were just like, "Nah, man, you can't do that." But what I am able to do is I'm actually able to go in and kind of give people opportunities for those kind of things. I'm able to give away just different cards and stuff as a YouTuber, but you're just not supposed to put it into the membership plan as one of the perks on the screen. But it's probably something that I'm going to end up doing. Um, it'll be a separate thing, but I'll give additional votes in there for that for the members, so that'll be cool. But anyway, guys, like I said, I'm gonna go back to the lab for a second. Hey, thanks everybody for joining. Like I said, if you got any other inputs on the channel or anything, just let me know. I would really appreciate feedback on some of the things that I implemented today. I changed the music around. I changed the backgrounds around. I like this. I think this is pretty cool. It seems a lot more like a lot of the other gaming content creators are making. So I kind of like how that turned out. But yeah, let me know what you think and if there's anything else that you want to see added. So like I said, I got a video scheduled for Friday. So I will see you guys then, and I will see you on the battlefield. Freezius out.